So, Bill, I understand that you had a conference prior to launching the MOOC, and you were able to utilize material from the conference, interviews, things like that. Sounds awesome. And then you were able to put that into the course and make the course even better. Can you talk a little bit about the conference and how you use that material to enhance the course?
The conference was a very exciting conference. I've gone to conferences for longer than maybe the two of you have been alive, and they're usually pretty terrible. This one was very lively, and I think the reason why it was lively was, one, we're not limited to the people in the room. It was live streamed, and we had people from locations all over the world. The second thing I think that was important to me, and is important in this whole discussion, is that you need designers like yourself, you need teachers like all of us, and administrators like all of us. But you also need people who understand technology. So the conference brought together all these people who were united, I think, in the mission of spreading education as fairly and widely as possible. So there are lots of levels to this. Universities will for me as a teacher, the best possible place to be is in the room with my students. But that's sort of that's like sitting in a box at the football game. It's great if you get to do it, but most people never even get there once. So how do we make it live online? How do we make it asynchronous? How do we make it certificate? How do we make it credit? How do we make it free? All these things. But in the room, in addition to us guys, the designers, the technologists, the teachers, the administrators, there were students in the room. There was a whole table of students from a high school in New Jersey. And there were also students from refugee camps and from countries all over the world. And they need to be in the room as well. And we need to be talking to them as well. As we embark, we're expanding our offerings in my center from hybrid to 100% online to a little bit asynchronous, mixing all these venues. And again, at the conference, you start to realize there's not there's not just one way, but there are lots of different things you need to think about in this, in terms of schedule, right? So if people are home 4 days a week instead of in the office 5 days a week, even if it's an executive program, if it's online, maybe you should offer it at breakfast, right, or maybe at lunchtime, or, maybe not at night, maybe not on Saturday, maybe sometimes on Sunday, even though some people can't do it. And Friday, some people can't do it. So it raises a lot of questions, but I think it also raises a lot of opportunities. And that's what I come out of this. Yes, it's a cookbook. It's a joy of cooking, but it also stimulates people to be creative, to say, I could use this to do that. That wasn't in the book. Just one last thing, which I will say as a person who these days, I see myself as a teacher mainly. And that is, there's room in a typical 2-hour session to do everything. There's time if you have them do maybe less reading and more video clips to look at, or video case studies in advance. There's room for guest speakers, either live or asynchronous. And I can tell you, doing it for more than a decade, students love that. They love it even better when it's live on Zoom or live in the classroom, but video is fine too. There's plenty of time for discussion about the pre-work, about the guest speaker, and still time, which I think should not be lost, for what the teacher has to say. The teacher knows something. This is not all about reading and videos and what do you think and what do you think? It's like the debates now. Everybody ignores, well, is there actually facts here? No, I think, great, good. We want everybody's ideas. But if you mix these two things, it'll explode. So let's make sure we all, this is not, I agree with that or not. It will. You know, if you do this in management, this will happen. If you don't have enough resources, you will ultimately go bankrupt. This is not a policy debate. So there's all we don't want to lose sight of the fact that teachers have important things to say, and that needs to be in the room too. In the end, that's what you're paying for, right? So you don't want to leave it out.
Well said. Well said.